This is CBN NewsWatch.
Thanks for joining us for CBN NewsWatch. I'm Wendy Griffith. Today is Friday, September 12th. A massive search continues. Authorities offering a $100,000 reward for information leading to the arrest of Charlie Kirk's killer. They've recovered a weapon believed to be used in the assassination and have released photos and a video of a person of interest. CBN national security correspondent Caitlin Burke has details.
The Utah Department of Public Safety is running point on this, aided by the FBI and other law enforcement. But they're also calling on the American public.
We cannot do our job without the public's help right now. The public has answered our call for action. So far, we've received more than 7,000 leads and tips.
Authorities have been able to track the suspected shooter's movements on campus, saying he fired from a rooftop overlooking the courtyard as Kirk spoke. They've released this video showing what they believe is his escape.
Here you see the suspect after dropping off the building. He moved around across this grassy area, around the parking lot.
Officials say the shooter appears to be a college-aged male, and after tracking his initial movements, they've recovered a high-powered rifle, ammunition, and several prints, which are now being analyzed by the FBI. Utah Governor Spencer Cox said the state plans to seek the death penalty in Kirk's murder. On Thursday, Vice President J.D. Vance was seen escorting Charlie Kirk's body onto Air Force Two after visiting with his widow. President Trump says he's worried about the state of the country, but called on supporters to respond to the assassination the way Kirk would have.
He was an advocate of nonviolence. That's the way I'd like to see people respond.
Counterterrorism expert John Cohen with the Center for Internet Security says unless America returns to a sense of civility, attacks like this will continue.
We are a very divided nation, and it's not just that people tend to disagree with each other, but they are increasingly viewing those that disagree with or that they disagree with as the enemy. We are seeing an increase in the number of individuals who are willing to use violence as a way to express their political, ideological views or to express their sense of grievance. The solution to this problem is bringing back civility and more of a calm nature to our public discourse on issues. We can disagree, and people should be passionate about their beliefs, but we also need to remember we're all in this together.
Authorities are urging people to take a break from social media, warning there's a large amount of disinformation being shared online as China, Russia, and other countries work to encourage violence. Caitlin Burke, CBN News, Washington.
Thanks, Caitlin. Now to the Middle East. At the UN, Israel bracing for more than a dozen nations to announce recognition of a Palestinian state during the annual General Assembly. But as Chris Mitchell reports from Jerusalem, Israel is announcing plans on the ground that would stop any Palestinian state from becoming a reality.
Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu signed an agreement Thursday to build a large number of housing units just outside of Jerusalem. The move, he says, and many believe, would effectively prevent the establishment of a Palestinian state.
This is a huge change, and we know there's another change here, or precisely another fulfillment of promise, not a biblical one, but a present one. We said that a Palestinian state will not be established, and indeed, a Palestinian state will not be established.
At the 9/11 memorial in Israel, hundreds gathered to remember those who died in the 9/11 attacks 24 years ago.
Is important for several reasons. The first one is that it's the only memorial outside of the United States that lists every single victim from that horrible day. And it also represents the strong bond between the United States and Israel.
Zaluda sees a profound connection between 9/11 and October 7th.
You know, in the United States, it's just because we were a Western country. In Israel, frankly, it's because we're Israel and we're Jews. The number of people that were killed on those days was horrific in both instances.
U.S. Ambassador to Israel Mike Huckabee came to address the gathering and remember 9/11.
We never should forget what happened to America on 9/11. As surely as Israel will never forget October the 7th of the Holocaust, this was an attack on the United States, its sovereignty, its security. It was a shock to us.
Huckabee also remembered Charlie Kirk.
One of the most brilliant young men I've ever known in my life. gentle, kind. Why anyone would want to kill Charlie Kirk just shows a level of evil that makes no sense. He was not an angry man. He was not a hateful man.
And Huckabee believes America needs a spiritual revival.
America's got to turn to the Lord. Our only hope is a spiritual renewal and revival. Because what happened to him was not just a political calculation. It was an act of demonic evil. And all we really have to hope for is that there is a spiritual renewal in our country that will awaken people to once again treat each other with respect. That doesn't come from somebody from the outside in. It comes from the inside out. It's a soul issue. It's not a political issue.
Well said. Our CBN News Middle East Bureau Chief Chris Mitchell is with us now from Jerusalem. Chris, how deep is the connection between Israelis and Americans with 9/11 and October 7th?
Well, Wendy, it's a profound connection. I saw it, firsthand last night at the ceremony there at the 9/11 Memorial. The only one outside of the U.S. that has all the names of the 2,977 who died on 9/11. Many in attendance had loved ones who had perished in 9/11, and they had those who were affected by October 7th. There was a mother of a son who died on 9/11. She spoke, and one of those who were kidnapped and then released after October 7th sang at a song of during the ceremony. And so these two horrible days, 9/11 and October 7th, they really, in some way, have really deepened the bond between these two countries.
And Chris, how would these new Israeli housing units near Jerusalem prevent the establishment of a Palestinian state?
Well, these are some of the details of what happened at that ceremony when they were signing that agreement. It's an area, Wendy, just outside of Jerusalem. It's known as E1. It's been talked about for literally about 20 years. But finally, after all the developments and these threats of a Palestinian state, Israel is going to decide to populate that area that has been vacant for about 20 years. It's next to a place called Ma'aleh Adumim with about thousands, tens of thousands of people. They're going to add 70,000 new residents in about 5 years. Now, what this would do, Wendy, was prevent a contiguous Palestinian state. It would interrupt any Palestinian state going from Ramallah to Bethlehem. And so any future Palestinian state would literally be broken up.
And how are plans going for the IDF operation into Gaza City?
Well, down in Gaza right now, there's been about 250,000 residents that have evacuated. That's about out of 900,000 to 1 million. And this is really key for the IDF to get them out of harm's way. As we've talked, Wendy, earlier this week, the IDF is sending leaflets. They're calling people on the phone, sending text messages, telling them exactly where to go. And they want to get as many people out of harm's way before this major push into Gaza City, perhaps the last stronghold of Hamas.
Do you think people are heeding the warning? Are they getting out in time?
Well, some are. But on the other hand, Wendy, Hamas is actually trying to prevent many of these people from leaving. They want to use them as human shields. They want to use them as propaganda if they do get killed by the IDF, unfortunately. So this is really a delicate time right now, but very key for the IDF to get as many people out as they can.
Yeah, I hope they get out. Well, there's reports Hamas tried to infiltrate one of the distribution sites of the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation. Chris, what can you tell us about that?
Well, these are 4 sites set up by the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation. They provide free food, but Hamas wants to eliminate them, interrupt them, disrupt them, because it undermines the control of the food inside Gaza and the control of the people. So they were threatening to storm the situation, storm one of these sites. Actually, some of them dressed up as women. They shut the site down just for the safety. But just one example of why Hamas wants to shut down what's called the GHF.
Well, you have a great show called Jerusalem Dateline. What do you have coming up on today's show?
Well, Wendy, we have a tribute to Charlie Kirk. We have a story on college students visiting Israel. He spoke to so many college students in his lifetime. And we find out that Charlie Kirk's life was really profoundly affected by when he visited Israel several years ago. We'll have more on that as well.
Yeah, it's just incredible, the reaction. I got a text from my niece who's in college last night, so upset about this. You know, I believe there is going to be millions of Charlie Kirks rise up from this horrible situation. Well, our CBN...
I agree, Wendy, very much.
Yeah. All right. Well, our CBN News Middle East Bureau Chief Chris Mitchell, they're in Jerusalem for us today. Happy Friday to you, and thank you so much. We look forward to seeing you again. And you can see the latest Jerusalem Dateline. That's at 8 p.m. Eastern on the CBN News Channel. You can also watch it on the CBN News app or on YouTube. Coming up, we take a deeper look at how Ukrainian children are being affected with the ongoing war in Ukraine. Stay with us. You're watching CBN NewsWatch. Well, as the war in Ukraine drags on, so does the trauma facing thousands of Ukrainian children held in Russia. Now there are reports of an online catalog where some of them are being sold. CBN's Jenna Browder has the story.
It's been more than 3 years since Russia launched its full-scale invasion of Ukraine. Among the victims are some 20,000 Ukrainian children taken by Russia, though many believe that number is much higher.
How did your kidnapping happen?
CBN has shared some of their stories, and in a bold move, First Lady Melania Trump recently gave a letter to Vladimir Putin, urging him to return them. The First Lady writing, "In protecting the innocence of these children, you will do more than serve Russia alone. You serve humanity itself. Such a bold idea transcends all human division, and you, Mr. Putin, are fit to implement this vision with a stroke of the pen today." Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky thanked the First Lady on X for her attention to one of the most painful and difficult issues of this war. President Trump also talked about it at the White House.
She loves children, and she hates to see something like this happening.
We understand that it's touched her heart, and it's very valuable for us Ukrainians that President Trump's wife showed Vladimir Putin that it's inappropriate. It is a crime for any country.
Mykola Kuleba is leading the fight to bring these children home. His organization, Save Ukraine, has rescued more than 800 so far, all of them indoctrinated with Russian propaganda, some even assigned Russian citizenship, adopted into Russian families, and now Kuleba tells us being sold online.
We have discovered an online catalog, literally a marketplace like Amazon for human beings, where Ukrainian orphans stolen from occupied territories are listed like products. You can filter by eye color, hair color, weight, even obedience. And this is not the dark web. This is out in the open. And this is the site for child traffickers and pedophiles run under the authority of Vladimir Putin.
Kuleba says Save Ukraine has found 300 children in this database who they're hoping to rescue. And once they're home, help them and their families get back on their feet through their rehabilitation program. For now, though, he and the rest of the world wait for a peace deal.
We asking you stand with us, pray for us, for innocent children who being held hostage.
And these kidnappings have caught the world's attention. The United Nations says they constitute war crimes, and the International Criminal Court has issued a warrant for Vladimir Putin's arrest. Jenna Browder, CBN News.
And still ahead, more and more schools cracking down on cell phone use, and teachers are praising the benefits. We examine the phone-free movement. You're watching CBN NewsWatch. Students across the country are back in the classroom, many of them missing their phones, their cell phones. Studies show the devices are distracting and disruptive to learning. So, a number of states have banned cell phone use in public schools. CBN's Charlie Kirk brings us the story.
There's overwhelming support for banning cell phones during class time in middle and high schools. In addition, 2/3 of Americans believe phone-free schools will help students improve their social skills, grades, and behavior. We may also see if that happens since more students across the country face the new reality this school year: no cell phones allowed. Since last fall, more than 30 states have moved to ban or restrict cell phones in their public schools.
Cell phones are expected to be off and away. So in the backpack if they're in high school, just off and away, not in use, not vibrating or turning on or sending messages that are going to be distracting.
States joining Virginia in these phone bans include Alabama, Georgia, Iowa, Louisiana, New York, and Texas. In Wisconsin, where nearly every school district bans phones in the classroom, Republican State Senator Joel Kitchens says an ongoing problem is with enforcing the rules, often due to parental complaints. He has introduced legislation to send a clear message that school district superintendents have state law behind phone restriction policies.
So, we're not doing this because we think the schools don't, we're forcing the schools to do this. We want to back them up and let them say, when the parents complain to them, say, hey, sorry, we're just following state law. So, that's really the goal, that we all need to be on the same page on this.
Experts and advocates agree phones have led to a mental health crisis for young Americans, ranging from lack of attention and poor focus.
We also have what some researchers have termed an attention apocalypse going on, which is kids have become so acclimated to these digital devices.
To bringing trauma and danger into their lives.
I saw the phone indeed as a vector of disease, carrying toxic online content and creating disease in our children.
Parents like Laura Derendinger have become the driving force behind a grassroots effort to get kids off screens. Sabine Polek helped start the Phone-Free Schools movement.
Phones have really stripped childhood away from kids. We joined together. We really started trying to advocate in our community for education around the harms of social media. And through that, we began talking with the leaders in our school community.
Former teacher Kathleen Barlow saw firsthand the negative effect of cell phone addiction in kids.
Kids are retreating into these virtual worlds, and we feel like we're losing them.
Beyond mental health concerns, teachers and school administrators are seeing more classroom disruptions and disciplinary problems in students with phones in class. 72% of high school teachers consider cell phone distraction a major problem in their classrooms. 33% of middle school teachers also share concerns.
I call them dopamine devices in their hands. It's very difficult for teachers to compete with that kind of level of entertainment. Even the best teachers can't compete with that.
Some parents aren't comfortable that their children won't have their phones, especially in case of an emergency. To that, Henson points to the advice of experts.
If mom is calling their child during an emergency, or heaven forbid, there's a school shooter situation going on, the child, instead of listening to the first responders that are there in person and have complete and accurate information, instead, they're trying to calm mom down on the phone, or mom may be hearing inaccurate information.
Meanwhile, teachers are happy about the new policies.
I've never had our kids more engaged, ever, in 21 years. 21 years.
I haven't had any issues, period, and I have around 200 students, and no one has freaked out. No one has made it a big deal.
There are also other surprising outcomes.
One of my, partners with the Smartphone Free Childhood team, she was talking to librarians, and after the school had gone phone free, the librarians said the amount of books checked out of the library of high school increased by 50%. That's huge.
Results many celebrate as parents, lawmakers, and schools work together to create healthier, more focused environments for the nation's students.
I've made the connection of kind of like zombies. Just walking around, not paying attention. Now it's so different.
Charlene Aaron, CBN News.
Coming up, the revival revolution continues. Thousands of students participated in the Unite Us movement. We've got details on this growing gathering next. Thousands of students at major universities gathered this week to seek Jesus. It's part of a revival sweeping across college campuses all over the country. As Lori Johnson reports, the movement is growing.
9,000 students gathered Tuesday in the University of Oklahoma's basketball arena for praise and worship, seeking salvation and forgiveness. It's part of the Unite Us movement, which has seen hundreds of baptisms and thousands of commitments to Christ on college campuses.
Unite is a movement that is just a college movement of students united to lift the name of Jesus in their basketball arena. And so usually students are used to gathering and cheering on their sports team, their basketball teams, but this is a movement that God is using to shape history.
Unite Us is featured in CBN's new documentary, Revival Generation, about the Jesus awakening in Gen Z.
So many students are looking for truth. They're looking to be found. They're looking to be truly seen and truly known and truly loved, but they're looking in all the wrong places.
Unite Us is holding several other rallies at college campuses this semester at Clemson, University of Tennessee, and elsewhere. They're not the only group of Christians evangelizing on college campuses and drawing huge crowds. Ohio State football players drew a crowd of over 1,000 students to share their testimonies and read scripture for what they called an invitation to Jesus. The event also included worship music, prayer, and open-air baptisms. Buckeye standout Sonny Styles helped lead the service.
You're blessed with a platform, and you're put in a position, put on, kind of on a pedestal to lead, and I think when you're believing in Jesus, I think you're called to lead. You're called to lead people in the right direction, and that's what God's trying to do.
So as the college school year gets underway, events like these will continue, and thousands of young people will give their lives to Jesus. Lori Johnson, CBN News.
Thanks, Lori. Just amazing what God's doing all over the world, really. Well, that's going to do it for this edition of CBN NewsWatch. Remember, you can find more of our news programs on the CBN News Channel anytime or online with cbnnews.com. Also, let us know what you think about the stories you've seen today. Email us at newswatch@cbn.com. That's going to do it for us. Have a great weekend, and God bless you.